Hello friends, my name is Megan and my log has a message for you. It says, welcome to Flosstube number 67. If you are new here, welcome. This is a channel that's mostly about cross stitch. However, I do share my other hobbies here when I've worked on them. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and spending time with me today. I appreciate all of you even more than you know. I did want to take just a moment to thank everybody for their kind and funny comments regarding all of the animal madness that happened in my last video. Cora is currently upstairs with her dad, and Tarzan is laying right here, and Mittens is laying in a box back there, so who knows what they will be up to. I did just give them some catnip, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, but today is Sunday. It is November the 2nd, and even though October and Halloween is over, I hope you all don't mind spending a little time with me today to discuss all of my October and Halloween stitching. Today is a really beautiful day here in Maryland. It is sunny and chilly and a little bit breezy. The trees are a little bit past their prime, but it's been so beautiful driving around. I feel like the leaves changed really late this year, but it's been really nice being able to enjoy that. What else has been going on? October was, like I knew it would be, a very busy month. In the beginning of the month, I attended a stitch and swap that was hosted by Cross Stitchers of Maryland. And that was a great time, and I've got some definite goodies from that to share with you later. My sister had a birthday, so I got to spend some time with her. Erin and I went on like a day date adventure down in Baltimore for a day. We went to a nice lunch at a plant-based restaurant in Fells Point called Olam. I believe that's how you say it, and the food was delicious, and I had a really nice, they had a spirit-free bourbon cocktail, and I had been interested in trying like a spirit-free bourbon, so that was really, really good. So delicious food, and then we went and toured the Poe House and Museum, and they're getting ready to do a big renovation to that area, so that should be really, really cool when that's done, and I will be excited to go back and see what they have created there. And then we went to a brewery called, the place is called the Ministry of Brewery. It's an old church, and that was a really cool place. And then we went to a candlelight concert. I had seen these advertised before, and I wasn't sure how great they would be, but they had one going on in Baltimore, and it was like Halloween classics, so we went to that, and it was really, really fun. The space was beautiful, and the musicians were wonderful. It was a quartet, and it was just a really great time. We're such homebodies, we don't always get out to do stuff like that, so it was really nice to just get out of the house for a day together and spend that time together. And then, of course, Halloween is our wedding anniversary, so we had a nice dinner and just stayed home for that. Yeah, so like I said, I hope everybody had a wonderful October. I do have a fair amount to share with you. Maybe not as much stitching as previous Octobers, but I did what I could do. So I have sort of a fully finished object here. I do have one other craft to share. I have been working on my blanket that I'm crocheting. I'm about halfway done with that, but I won't bring that until I'm fully finished with that, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. I have new starts. I have a couple of whips that I worked on. The whips are works in progress. I have a few finishes. I have some things that came in the mail. What else? I have some Stitchy Kindness. I have a giveaway winner from my last video, and I will have one more giveaway for the year in this video, and maybe that's it. That seems like an awful lot, so I guess we should probably get started. Alright, the first thing I want to share with you today is actually a little craft that I did in October. I saw a tutorial on Instagram by Effie, EFI _little _things, and this will be linked below, to make these little hanging bats, and I could not stop thinking about those little silly bats, and so I spent a little time, I think it was on a Sunday, and I made a little army of bats. So I just wanted to share those with you real quick. This was a very fast and fun. So here's all my little bats. This was a very fast and fun craft to do. It's a great way to use up scraps that you have, and it doesn't require a little bit of hand sewing, but it's not difficult at all. So the first one. That's what the back looks like. Second one. I was thinking about redoing the eyes on the little bats that have X's for eyes. I thought that would be just like cute and easy, but I don't want them to look like they're deceased, so I might redo those. And these two are my favorites. I made these into little vampire bats. Look how freaking cute that is. Oh my gosh. I love it. This is my absolute favorite one. Erin asked if these were going to be Christmas ornaments. And I said, these are bats for all seasons, you know? Bats don't have to just be for October and Halloween. We love bats all the time. So, again, that was a tutorial on Instagram by Effie_little_things. Super fast and fun, and I wanted to make a billion of them. I might check out some other tutorials that they have too. And then the other, I say mostly fully finished object that I have for you here is a Plum Street sampler's chart. It's Miss Lucian's School for Girls Lesson 1. I stitched this last year, and here's what it looks like. It says, trick or treat, stitches neat, or prickly needles stick your feet. I stitched this, I know this was a 36 count, maybe Sahara that I had tea-dyed. And I say this is mostly a fully finished object because I have not, this I actually sewed last year, and I had not ever like closed up the bottom because I wasn't super happy with how straight I had made the top, and I thought I was going to unpick it, but I'm not going to do that. So there are ribbons on both sides because initially I had each side tied to a spool, and those spools were sitting in candlestick holders, so it was displayed like this. But I recently purchased off of Facebook Marketplace a Martha Washington sewing table, and she's in a little bit of rough shape, but she's okay. I think she's absolutely wonderful. I had actually gotten her for upstairs in my bedroom, but I liked her so much that she's in my dining room now, and I just laid this on top of that with some candles and a little black cat, and I thought that that was the perfect way to display this, and I'm excited to decorate that little table throughout the year. It was in great shape, and when I went and picked it up, I found that all the drawers were full of buttons and various ephemera, and the people that were selling it, I believe it was maybe like an estate situation, asked if I wanted the rest of the sewing supplies that went with it. So they gave me a giant bag full of sewing baskets and all kinds of supplies, and so that's been fun to go through, and I just hope that you know, one day maybe somebody will get my collection and love it, and we'll go through it, and we'll have a good time with it too. So, all right, those are all of my fully finished objects. I think it's time to get into the stitching. All right, so let's get into what I stitched in October. Here is my book of days. I saw that the new one just came out, so I will definitely be ordering that. Here's what my month looked like. And in October, I had 15 new starts and only 7 finishes, so I definitely added to my WIP pile for sure, but that's okay. I'm really excited about everything that I worked on. So in October, I start a new larger project every 5 days, or I pull out a previous year's October work in progress every 5 days, and then on Halloween, I start my anniversary stitch. I've not finished my last year's Halloween start, but I did start something new this year, and that's okay. I'm all good with that. So that's kind of how I have this situated. I've got my larger starts to share first. Then I have a small interlude where I'll show you my monthly stitching, and then I'll show you the smalls that I worked on next. So let's get into it. The first project that I started this year was Halloween Alphabet, and that is by Raise the Roof. It looks like this. Oh, a common theme you will see with my stitching this month is I used a lot of green fabric, which I don't think I normally do, and I don't have a lot of information about the fabric. Some of this stuff has been kitted up since last year, and some of it is just like scrappy bits that I try to use up, so I don't always have the fabric information like I normally do. And this particular start is no exception to that. So this project lives in this cute little bag. Switches in there, and it only calls for 2 colors of DMC. It calls for 310 and 946. Nice and bright. And here is my start. So I'm sure this fabric, yeah, is definitely blowing out for sure. It's a really pretty, like, almost slimy green color. It's really, really nice. It's a 36 count. Like I said, I kitted this up last year, and it's very unlike me to not keep the little slip with what the fabric is with it, but what are you gonna do? So there's my start on that. I think that will work up pretty fast. That was super fun to work on. The next project I have here, I started actually last October, and that is Emma Nettles 1636 by Plum Street Samplers. This was part of the Exemplary collection. She looks like this, a little tombstone. You know I love stitching a tombstone. It says, the wages of sin is death, she was paid well. And there's a little note in the pattern. I believe this pattern is maybe long out of print. But it says, the town of Stratham breathed a secret sigh of relief when Ms. Nettles passed away, as she was notorious throughout for being the most mean-spirited, bitter old woman to have ever lived. She was very wealthy, having inherited her late husband's money when he mysteriously died after eating what Emma claimed to be her mother-in-law's prized recipe for sweetmeat pie. Emma died several years later when she fell into a well. So the little note is in that pattern. This lives in my Janet Jabber bag. I'm stitching it with the called for DMC, which for some reason they are not all in the bag, but that's some of them. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 32 count Ale Lugana by Picture This Plus. And here's where she is. Don't mind that hanging thread there. So when I worked on this last year, I had made an error up here, and I did leave myself a note, which was nice, but I made the error and then just continued stitching. I don't know. I probably could have fixed it right then, but I did not. So this year I decided to work down the center to get to the bottom and work the border all the way around to make sure everything was going to line up okay. And that did take maybe a few tries, but we did get there in the end. So I am stitching this mostly with one thread. If you've ever stitched on Picture This Plus, it is a very tight, I guess the dye process makes their weave very tight, and this 32 count is no exception. All right, ooh. This next project that I started is definitely one of my favorites. I was in a huge Prairie Schooler mood this October. I'm always in a Prairie Schooler mood, but I was like really feeling Prairie Schooler this year. And I've actually been working on a little Prairie Schooler fall playlist. I always have my Grateful Dead playlist linked below. If you are new here, the titles of my videos are lyrics from Grateful Dead songs, so I have a playlist with all of those songs if you're ever interested in checking that out. But I have also been working on a Prairie Schooler fall playlist, just songs that make me think of Prairie Schooler, I guess, or the vibe that Prairie Schooler has. So I'll link that below too. It's very much still a work in progress, but maybe you would like to, check it out. Anyways, so this project is Prairie Schooler Nevermore. I mean, obviously I would like this, right? Right? Yeah, this is a beautiful project, and it did give me a little bit of a hiccup to begin with, but we'll talk about that in a second. This lives in my most favorite, most special bag by Olivia B. of Hillside Rookery. This bag always holds my very favorite projects. It held Halloween Barnyard by Not Forgotten Farm for several years, so I'm excited that it has a new resident in Nevermore. I'm stitching this with all of the called for DMC, only a couple of colors. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count custard by Color and Cotton. And here's my little start. So that's where we got to. Not bad for 5 days. Prairie Schooler is so nice to just, Tarzan's here to check out that bag. It's such nice relaxing stitching. It's just, a little bit of color change, but a lot of fill-in and just easy breezy. So yeah, that's where we got to. Now, here's where I started it originally. I don't know what my problem was, but I could not count the smooth. I could not get it right. I stitched it and pulled it out and stitched it and pulled it out, and then I finally just said, you know what, I'm just going to restart it on the other side of the fabric because that was not, I don't know what was wrong that day, but anyways, so there's that one. The next project I have to share with you is called, hang on, hold please. Sorry, I don't know, Tarzan clicked something on the mouse and it made something pop up. Anyways, the next project I have to share with you is a hands-on design pattern called Ghosties and Gourds. This is, I bought the PDF, so this is just a printout. It's not in great shape. I had it all folded up. I had never seen this before, and then somebody finished it on Instagram earlier this year, and I was like, wow, that is really, really cute, and so I went and bought it immediately and got started on this. This project is living in this little patchwork pumpkin bag. How cute is that? A little leaf. Adorable. And it is charted all in color and cotton. I did not have any of that color and cotton, but I did choose color and cotton from my stash to use. Some of these are very old. These two are from 2017. Yeah, August of 2017. This one's from 2018. It used to be the die lots were the dates on there. So these are from 8/1/17. But these are the colors, and they are super fun. And I had a piece of kind of bright green linen that I thought would be perfect for that, and it's pistachio in a 32 count by XU Design. And I got one little banner done. Again, the color is definitely not showing up nearly as vibrant as it is in person, but this was super fun. And there's little Smyrna crosses, and it was just, I never find that I use colors like this. So it was just a really nice change after some of those more muted colors that I had been working with. So yeah, that would be, I think, a pretty quick finish that did not take very long. So, all right, I've got two more of my big projects. The next one, I'm not really sure how to share this. Well, I'm just going to show you the picture because the person that was the designer no longer is designing, and the patterns are no longer available, so it doesn't really matter anyways. If you've been with me for a few years, you know that I used to be part of a Patreon called Beast or God, and he shut down that Patreon, so all of the patterns are gone. I did download all of them before that happened. He gave us plenty of notice, so I do have quite a lot, a large collection. And I've stitched a lot of them. There was a time where I was like stitching through all of those patterns, and then when he announced that he was like shutting down the Patreon, I kind of stopped for a little while. But anyways, every year I do a rewatch of Over the Garden Wall, and last year I stitched this pattern, Garden Wall inspired, and this year I started the companion piece, which looks like this. All of my Beast or God projects live in this project bag, and I use the called for DMCs, and I stitched them all on 18 count Aida. That was the way that he did it, and I really like how that looks. So here's where I got to. I did not get too far. I didn't have a lot of time that week. I was just very tired. There's a lot of hanging threads on the back. So I didn't get too much done. But I'm going on a little vacation next weekend, which I'll talk a little bit more about later when I talk about my plans. And this one might come with me to get a little more work done. And then the last of my big projects is my anniversary start for this year. I was so excited when I saw this. I actually joined the Witchy Stitcher Patreon to get it immediately because I didn't know like when it would come out, and I believe it has since then. But this is a Graveyard Wander by the Witchy Stitcher. It looks like this, and I was immediately obsessed because so we live next to a cemetery, and when we did our wedding photos. We took several of them in the cemetery. I'll post a couple of them up here so you can see why I thought this was the perfect anniversary stitch for us. It is very reminiscent of our wedding photos. This project is living in this beautiful bag. This is by Vintage Stitchers, I believe, on Etsy maybe. Love that. I'm using the called for DMC, which there are quite a few, and I am subbing out the black for sulky black. I just like that coverage, and I've only worked on this for just that one night, just on Halloween, so it's not too far. But here's where I am. Let me see if I turn this over. So this is a 36 count fortnight fabric. Again, I don't know the name, but I guess it doesn't really matter since it's not available anymore. This is this page that I'm working on, that is the full width of the page, so yeah, I'm excited to get some more work on that tonight, actually. Alright, so that is all of the large projects that I started and worked on throughout the month of October. I'm going to pause you for 1 second. I'm going to grab my monthly stitches. Alright, I feel like maybe I was talking really fast in that last segment, so I'm going to try to take a breath and slow down just a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous because it is starting to get a little bit darker outside. It was daylight savings last night, so we fell back an hour, so it's probably going to be dark anytime. Anyways, okay, so there are 2 projects that I work on every single month. And the first one is my full moon stitch. I originally joined this stitch along with Amy of Amy Loves Toads, Jen from Jen's Fiber Web, and Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe. And we were working on the Moon Bell Pool by Tiny Modernist. And mine was an existing whip, so I finished that. And I pulled out another moon pattern to work on. And that is Old Mustard Moon by Not Forgotten Farm, which looks like this. I had originally started this as a stitch along with Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. And so this is what I pull out and work on the full moon of every month with those sweet ladies. We are going to continue our full moon stitching into 2026. We are each going to pick a Kathy Barrick moon, and I'm really torn between 3 of them. I just can't decide. So I guess I need to make that decision probably sooner than later so I can get that all ready to go. Anyways, this project lives in this t-shirt bag that I made, and I am using, I think this is mostly a conversion. If I had the called for, I used it, but I don't remember because I just have a little piece of paper in there with all the colors. They're kind of a mess. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Murky by Picture This Plus, and here's where I am. So I think this month I just worked on the house. So obviously this is not going to be done by the end of the year, but this is already, I feel like, really good progress. So I do want to continue probably just working on some more outlines so that, you know, if I have months where I'm really tired, I can just sit and fill in. There's that one. And the other project that I work on monthly is a stitch along that is hosted by Dee of Dee's 20 Stitches, and it's Stitch for Pride. And in 2025 we are stitching and learning about trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people from history. And I was very excited for October's reading and stitching because it was about a Hungarian person. My grandfather was from Hungary, and so I was very interested to learn about them. Pista? I hope that I said that correctly. I stitched on this earlier in the month and I cannot remember if that's the proper pronunciation, but I will have a picture here or here that will show you. All of these projects live in this elephant bag, and I'm stitching them all individually so I can make little pillows out of all of them at the end. And I've been trying to do 2 pieces on each type of fabric. So this time I pulled out a piece of Vintage Country Mocha, and I stitched it in Calimocho. I did pick an Extrude Design thread because she's Hungarian as well. In fact, this piece back here, this was stitched on Grandpa's sleeve by Extrude Design, and you can't see it in the video here, but my grandfather's name is at the bottom, and his the date of his birth and death are at the top. My grandfather shared a birthday with Abraham Lincoln, and I actually stitched that in memory of him. So, but anyways, here is my finish for October. Isn't that cool? That was so much fun. The smoke is all in half stitch, and that was a delight to stitch. Interesting reading. Really loved this too. So those are the 2 projects that I work on every month. I'm not sure what, I know I'll do full moon stitching in 2026. I'm not sure if I'm going to be joining any other stitch alongs. I've got stitch alongs from previous years that I still need to finish, so I don't know what next year is going to bring just yet. But all right, next up I'm going to show you the smalls that I worked on. Alright, so normally in October, when I work on smalls, I start one and I work on it till it's done, and then I start another and another, and so on and so forth. This year it didn't quite work out that way for me. Number one, some of the smalls that I started were not that small. And number two, some of them just I just wasn't vibing with for whatever reason. So I just wanted to continue to stitch on things that made me happy. And so some of these are whips, but that's okay. The first project that I'm going to share with you is Merry Halloween, out of the Merry Halloween book by Stacey Nash. She has since released this as a chart, I believe, and this is the one that I started. I've already completed the other 3 that are in this book. The other 3 patterns. This is called the Dreaming of Halloween pin keep. Looks like that. All of these projects have lived in this little pumpkin graveyard bag that I made, and I'm using mostly the Called For DMC. I do have a skein of Black Coral by Dinky Dyes in here that I have used for some of the other patterns. I'm not sure if it'll end up in this one or not though. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count linen that I dyed myself, and here's what I got. So I got the dress all outlined and the bottom outlined, and I think this will make for some good car stitching. I mentioned earlier that we were going to go on a little vacation. We're going away for my birthday this year. Again this year, I will be heading back out towards the Harper's Ferry area again. I will be staying in Maryland, but my birthday is on November the 9th, and I'm hoping that we will be able to visit Harper's Ferry. I believe that it's open. I'm not sure. I guess I need to check into that a little more. But some of these projects are going to come with me for some little easy vacation stitching. I will have a new start on there, but if I remember, I'll talk about that later. So yeah, this is going to be definitely some car stitching. The next project I have here is another Prairie Schooler. I pulled out this booklet called Heads Up, and I stitched 2 of these patterns. I counted these as 2 different finishes because I initially was going to stitch them all as individual pieces, but I was inspired by somebody on Instagram, and I can't think of their name off the top of my head, but I'll link it below. But they always post pictures of the most beautiful Prairie Schooler displays. So that did kind of change my thinking of how I wanted to finish these. So that's what that looks like. I'm stitching them on 32 count cream Belfast, and it lives in this little pumpkin mouse bag that I have. I actually had 2 other booklets in here. I had Boo Moon, and I also have Boo To You. And I thought that I was going to have time to get to at least 1 out of each of these, but I did not. I actually ended up spending most of the time making this my morning stitching. I have been getting up earlier to give myself a little bit more time to wake up in the morning, and I've had like about maybe 15 minutes of stitching time in the morning with my coffee. So I worked on this then. I've got the called for DMCs, and here are the 2 that I completed. So I'm going to stitch 5 of them on here. Hang on. So I did the moon and the cat. I think in the center I'm either going to do the witch or the scarecrow. I'm leaning towards the witch. I really like that scarecrow. And then I'm going to do the pumpkin and I think the skull at the end. And have them displayed in a line like this. I saw in some of her pictures she had done like pulled work in between, like a pulled thread in between each of them, and I thought that that would be a really beautiful finish, so maybe I'll try that. Alright, and then the next several projects I have here all shared this bag at some point. This was my lunchtime stitching bag. I love, love, love this bag. I got this at the Hodgepodge Stitch Day, and love that. This first one was one where like the vibe wasn't quite right. This is Autumn Blessings by Pineberry Lane. I think I bought this last year. I definitely kitted it up last year. It's all DMC, but I love this little banner that you make out of it. I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count cream puff by Color and Cotton, and I'm using all of the called for DMCs, and I don't like these colors, just were not screaming Halloween to me. They were kind of like giving me September colors. I don't know why, if that makes any sense, but it was just not the right colors for what I was going for. Anyways, I got the little witch started, and I think that I will take this with me for vacation stitching too. I think that she'll work up super fast, and then she's got some little gourds and pumpkins around her and some leaves, and then the other ones are just, the other 2 are just the words. So I don't think that would be super long to finish. The next project was exactly what I was in the mood for, and that is Broomstick Brigade. It comes from this book by Stephanie of Lindy Stitches. It's called A Spooky Book. There are 6 patterns in here. This is definitely worth the money. I've got this one kitted up down here. Maybe that'll focus. I have this as a kit. I've got this one kitted up, and this is the one that I stitched here. Let's see if I can find a bigger picture. Looks like that. How sweet is that? Now this fabric was from a Color and Cotton Halloween box, and I have lost the tag. I've already stitched one ornament on it, so that's gone. But I didn't put the words Broomstick Brigade under it either, but I really like that, and I want to finish it into like the little tag kind of the way she shows in the picture, and hang it on my little Martha Washington table over there. I used the called for DMC. Those colors have all gone into other projects by now. Yeah, I do kind of, because I'm stitching so many things and switching them around so often, I do just kind of have like a general pile of DMC that I pull out of. So that is absolutely adorable. Stephanie does the cutest cats. This next pattern is by Mama Witch X Stitch. She has like an Adopt a Ghost series. Excuse me. And I'll have to put a picture in because I just have the printout of the pattern. And last year I did the ghost, and this year I did the puppy, and next year I'll do the kitten. So here is my little puppy. How cute is he? I use the called for DMC. This is a scrap of I think it's 32 count linen, This is actually the linen that I dyed for the Master and the Macabre, which is back here by the Cricket Collection. And I stitched that years and years ago, and I have been slowly using up the last little bits of that linen. So here's my little ghost. I got room for the cat on the other side, so next year that little trio will be complete. The next pattern that I worked on was Meowsterpiece Theater. This was from the Witchy Stitcher from her Patreon. She does teeny weeny Halloweeny and she had a lot of really cute little tiny Halloween charts. And here's this one. I thought this was adorable and this was so much fun to work on. Here are some of the called for DMC. Like I said, they all get pilfered around and moved around. I stitched this on a piece of 32 count mystery green scrap from my stash, and here's my little finish. That was so fun to work on, and just silly and cute and just perfect Halloween stitching, I think. There is that one. This next piece I definitely did not finish. This is Tombstones by Kathy Barrick. And last year I stitched this one, and this year I started this one. Now this, I have both of the little tombstones for Michael to finish them on when they're done. But this one you're supposed to stitch the entire black background, and I had no interest in doing that. So I'm stitching them in the called for colors, all the called for DMC, except for the black, and I'm stitching mine on a piece of 20 count black Aida. You do have to stitch it on 40 count to have them fit properly on the little tombstones, and so I stitched the other one, Sarah Chapman, on 40 count, and I'm doing this one on the Aida. And here's where I got to. I didn't get super duper far. Just was busy doing other stuff, so I'm not sure if this one's gonna come with me for vacation stitching or not, but we'll see. So it's not very big. It's just 40 count or 20 count black. So the next pattern that I have is a finish. I did a portion of a larger pattern. The pattern is called, I'll have to put a picture in wherever I'm putting pictures in today. The pattern is called Edgar Allan Poe Cross Stitch Pattern by Industrious Owl Endeavors on Etsy. I saw that my friend Krista, the Shenandoah Valley Stitcher, she had stitched just a portion of this chart. The chart you'll see in the picture has backstitched like all of the names of his stories and poems, and then in the center is his signature and a raven, and she just did the signature and the raven part, and I ended up just doing the signature part. I did this as a little memory thing for the special day that Erin and I had going to visit the Poe house. This project lived in this little coffin shaped project bag. I stitched it on a piece of 40 count extra design fabric, and I know that it had coffee in the name. I can't find the tag. I stitched those mini Quaker samplers on it, and I don't know what happened to the tag. Anyways, I used one strand of Raven by Gentle Art, and here's my finish. I think that turned out so nice. Is it gonna? I can't tell if it's focusing. Maybe it didn't. So this, we need to do a little rearranging on our Poe wall back here. I'm going to remove some things that aren't necessarily Poe related. Like there's a Mill Hill. It's hard to point. Not this. Yep. There's a Mill Hill back there. There is. Nope. There we go. That's just a Halloween piece. That's just a Halloween piece. That right there is from Janet Jabber. That's a little Lizzie Kate Nevermore. But I'm going to do some rearranging on that wall to make sure I can get this and some other pieces that we have that I've finished up there. So very, very happy with that. And then the last project that I have here to share with you, I started this was my lunchtime stitching last week, and I actually finished it yesterday. This is Cat O' Lantern by Bent Creek. Sorry, this is still in the plastic. I never had to open it, so how cute is that? I stitched it using, oh, would you hear cats? I stitched it on a piece of just 28 count linen, had no name on it, in my stash, and I used an entire skein of, hang on, oh, I did use basically an entire skein of the orange and just a little bit of the other colors. So these are, I don't believe any of the colors were, it was just colors I chose from my stash. And here is my little finish. And look how cute that is. I love that. I think that is so sweet. I saw this, I got this at Hodgepodge in Strasbourg. They had a model on the wall, and ever since I bought it, I had not stopped thinking about it. So I had to get that one going. All right, so that's everything that I worked on in October. Next, I'm going to do the giveaway, and then we'll talk about what I've purchased and what I acquired in various other ways. So, be right back. All right, so in my last video, I had two giveaways. One I drew on October the 15th so that I could get to the winner by Halloween, and it did get there, and she actually started it and tagged me on Instagram, so that was super awesome. I hope that that definitely brought her some Halloween joy. And the other giveaway that I had was for this set of Hands-On Design 12 Days of Christmas, the patterns, as well as the linen that goes with it. And the winner of this is Amy Montoya, 1971. So congratulations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tag you in the description of this video. There are several ways to reach me below. There's my email and my Instagram, so feel free to reach out to me however is easiest for you and get me your address, and I will get that out in the mail to you for some fun winter stitching. And then I do have my last giveaway for the year. My friend Ethel, I talk about her all the time and how wonderful she is, how kind she is, and how loving she is. You know, she supplied all of these giveaways for us over the course of this year, and it's been so much fun sharing her patterns and giving these away to everybody, and I've got one left. And this one was hard to give away because I really wanted to keep it because it's so cute, but this is Acorn. And in it she included, it looks like a little piece of linen and some backing fabric and some trim and some of the DMC. So that was very, very kind and very generous of her, of course. And if you would like to win this, just use the word squirrel. And I will get you entered, and we'll pull it with my next video. So, all right. So those are the giveaways. I've got one last kind of section of things to go through, which will be things that I purchased and some stitchy kindness that I have received. So let me reset just a little bit more, and oh, my mittens. Good girl. She's our old lady. And I will be right back. All right, so here's what came in the mail this month. Here is my Color and Cotton. I'm in their Fabric Club. This is just a limited edition. You will never be able to see how beautiful these fabrics really are on here, unfortunately. And if I read her newsletter or her email or her post or wherever I saw it correctly, it sounds like she's discontinuing the Fabric Club in like the form that it is now, and there's going to be new sign-ups. And I actually don't think I'm going to sign up for one of the new clubs if that is how that is going to work. I've been in her Fabric Club since the very first piece of fabric she did as a monthly fabric club. And I have a lot of fabric, and I even have a lot of fabric here to share with you. So I think that I'm just going to let December be the end, and yeah, I'd like to use some of this beautiful fabric that I have. So here was my color and cotton, and here is my, this is the Needlecraft Corners Blackbird Design / Picture This Plus Fabric of the Month Club. They did Picture This Plus fabrics that are commonly used in Blackbird designs. And this was my one from last month. This is Ale, which is a beautiful color. Obviously, I'm stitching Emma Nettles on the Ale Lugana. I get this in 36 count. So this is beautiful. And then when she shipped me my fabric for this month, they accidentally sent me a piece of Seraphim fabric. She's got a lot of different fabric with the month clubs. So she accidentally sent me a piece of Seraphim fabric instead, which was beautiful. But so I reached out to her, and she has already shipped me my fabric and an envelope so I can send the Seraphim back to her. So once that comes in, I'll ship that to you next month. And the other, I guess, monthly thing that I get is from Abby at Top Knot Stitcher. I'm in her auto ship for the Cottage Garden Samplings A Year in the Woods 2. This is number 5, which is the turkey. Love him. Love him. These are all such beautiful designs. So I picked that up. This is not actually cross stitch. This is an embroidery book. This is called Creepy Embroidery. By Carrie Violet, who is Memorial Stitches. I have long been an admirer of their embroidery, and when I saw that they were going to have a book coming out, I pre-ordered it immediately. I used to do a good amount of embroidery, and then I kind of got out of it for a while, but this is very inspiring. So yeah, look at this eye. I love that. I think that's really cool. Yeah, so this is really inspiring. Maybe it'll, you know, get me to pick up some embroidery again. I sort of like these cats. So, grabbed those. I went back to Hodgepodge yesterday with 2 of my friends. One of my friends needed to go up there to pick up a bag that she had ordered, and she asked if I would tag along, and I said of course I would happily do that. And then our other friend, so that was Suzanne and my other friend Martha, we all went up there together and spent some time at Hodgepodge together, and then we went over to a antique mall. That was super fun. It was like it was 2 buildings and 3 stories, and we went through one of the buildings and we found some treasures for sure. So that was really nice to spend the day with those ladies. They I had like a little problem that I've been working through, and they gave me some really great advice, and I really appreciate them listening to me and my problems. So that was a really great day. And one thing that I got when I was at Hodgepodge, I didn't have a lot of shopping to do. I really just needed a couple of threads, but I saw this bag and it was so beautiful. I had to pick it up, and so I decided I would put the project that I was buying the floss for, I was going to put into this bag. So that project is Annie Hyssop's Harvest Moon by Primitive Needle. It looks like this. I have been working on getting this kitted up. I was doing mostly a conversion to just colors that I had in my stash, but there were 2 or 3. Yeah, there were 3 colors that I decided I just wanted to get the called for because I didn't have quite the right thing, and that was the grass, the roof, and then the border color. I just really could not find something that I liked just as much. So I'm going to be stitching that on a piece of Stonehenge by Color and Cotton, and these were just the colors that I got. And here's my other big pile of floss that I'm considering. So I got those there. Let's see. Like I said, I attended a Stitch and Swap Day that was hosted by Cross Stitchers of Maryland, and last year there were a lot more people there in general, but also a lot more people selling things. This year it was one woman who was selling fabric, and then everything else people had just brought as just freebies. So I bought some fabric, and then I have a giant pile of freebies that I got. So I bought this piece of Crystal Mystic in 32 count Lagana by Picture This Plus. She was selling her fat quarters for $10. So, I mean, it would be basically irresponsible not to pick up some beautiful fabric for $10. This is very, very glittery. This will probably actually be a nightmare to stitch on. So I'm thinking I'll probably use it for like smalls. Can you see how glittery that is? Fun. I also picked up my first piece of Be Stitch Me. I don't know how that's happened. This was a another 32 count Lagana. It's just, the color is just 423, so I don't know. But it's a beautiful green. So I'm excited to find something for that. And then I picked up, what's this? This is a Mystic fabric. Again, 32 count Lagana in Cobblestone. Another beautiful piece. So I bought those 3 pieces for $30, and I had another, she had like a smaller scrap size selection, and she just, I had pulled one out and she just threw this one in for free. This is Veterus? I don't know, 32 count Lagana. Just a pretty creamy neutral color. And so I believe that is all that I purchased. So not a whole lot, but I do have a couple other things here. I have a little bit of Stitchy Kindness. My friend Martha, again, we've been talking about what beads I would be using for my ornaments for my co-workers, and she brought me a large selection to choose from, and so I grabbed 2 of them. Be able to see those, or maybe to try. So thank you again, Martha, for that. I appreciate it. A lovely woman who, okay, so I did fib. I bought one other thing that I'm about to show you. A very, very lovely woman that won one of my giveaways reached out to me and said that she had 2 copies of this and asked if I was interested in one, and that is Blueberry J by Jet X Stitch. And yes, I love this. I think this is so cool and so beautiful, and hopefully we're going to do a little stitch along for that. But while I was at Hodgepodge, I picked up a piece of fabric for it. This is Emerald Sea by Barefoot Needle Art in a 36 count. So it's not quite the same. It's maybe more blue than green, and it's got some purple in it. But I think that that will work. Let's see if I can try to hold these up together in some way. I think that that will work for this project. So all I need to do now is order the 2 thread works. I'm going to order those 2 colors, and everything else is in DMC. So hopefully we can find a time to start that. And then again, my friend Ethel, she was going through one of her friend's stashes, and she pulled this out for me. This is Gertrude and Friends by Leisure Arts. She knows that I am in my goose era, and she pulled this out for me, and I really like this one right here. You can see it on a sweatshirt. Right there. I really like that one. So I would like to stitch that up. And then lastly, what I have over here are the things that I got at the Stitch and Swap. I'm not going to go through everything. My friend Anne brought me this little Ouija tin of mints. She said that the mints sucked, but she thought that I would like this little tin to make something out of. Absolutely. One of my coworkers, did I tell you this in the last video? I might have. One of my coworkers is also a stitcher, which is very exciting. I think she's relatively new at stitching. She's doing some dimensions kits. So there was a lot of kits on the freebie table, and I picked her up a couple of Mill Hills to try because she had not tried one of those, and I did keep this one for me. This is Naughty. I'm always going on about how naughty these animals are, so I thought this one was funny. Yeah, so I got a couple other little things. This little kit to make that. One of my friends grabbed this Blend in Place kit for me. I got just Cross Stitch Halloween. Let's see, just a bunch of patterns, some beautiful patterns. I got this kit. What is this? This is called Bow Ties. The Unique Cross Stitch Door Decoration. This is in Winter Wonderland. But I thought this would make a really pretty bell pull. I don't know that I would do it as a bow on my in my door, but you never know. As we were discussing yesterday, tastes change. So, and then so Anne brought a lot of her fabric that she was destashing, and I went through that and got quite a bit from her. She's not really interested, I don't think, in stitching on like 28 and 32 count anymore, so I got a bunch of that. And then there was a bunch of Aida to pick from, so I refilled my black. This is all 18 count black Aida. And here's some of the linens that I got from Anne. And then I grabbed just some more Aida. So that is everything that I have acquired in the last month. Not a lot of shopping, but a lot of fun things nonetheless. And let's see, so I will be, let's see, I'm going to do plans next, hang on. Alright, before I let you go, I'm going to talk briefly about my plans for the coming month. Like I said earlier, my birthday is November the 9th, so I'm going to have a new start that day. I'm going to start Wizard Cat by Lindy Stitches, and I'm going to start that with my friend Stephanie of Cross Stitch the Globe. I'm kind of struggling on picking a fabric for that. I kind of want something glittery, but I don't want to like stitch over all that glittery fabric. I don't know. I can't decide what I want to do about that, but I guess I need to make that decision pretty soon. Let's see, I'm going to continue to work on and finish the ornaments that I'm stitching for my coworkers. I'm going to work on my last work in progress that I came into the year with, and that is the Autumn Girl by Birds with Feather. She got a very small start last year, so I am anxious to get back to her and kind of get into that project a little bit more. I might have a few more new starts. I don't know. We're going to kind of see where the month takes us. I might have a restart. Stephanie and Jessie from Cat Hair Stitchers, they are talking about starting the Little Witchy Advent by the Laurel Witch, and I had stitched one of them as coworker ornaments 2 years ago, and I actually, before that even, had made a start on that project, and I wasn't really happy with the fabric that I chose, and so we were talking about maybe in November giving that a start, and I might restart it or I might keep going. I don't know. I have to make a decision about that too. Yeah, so I think that is just about everything. I am looking forward to, while we're on our trip, to visiting, what is it called? Primitive, I have to put it up here because I can't remember. Primitive something. It's a stitching and primitive and wool shop in Frederick, Maryland. I will be visiting there on my birthday, so I'm very excited about that. Hopefully I'll find some good treasures while I'm there. I'm sure I will. It was a very, very nice store. I visited there last year for my birthday for the first time, and it's very, very nice in there, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. I hope everybody is doing as well as they possibly can be. I know you know, the time has changed here, and it's going to be getting darker earlier, and I personally love that, but I know not everybody does, so I hope that everybody is getting through the beginning of the kind of winter season as well as they can. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I had a lot of fun. I wanted to show you all my different Halloween shirts that I've gotten this year, and a couple of costumes too. So actually my friend Krista, who I talked about earlier, the Shenandoah Valley Stitcher, her and I both had the same Halloween costume for this year. We were both the girl with the green ribbon. We even chose the exact same outfit, so I wanted to make sure that I included that in here as well. Yeah, so hope everybody's okay. Love you guys.